are listening to the 90 Days Later podcast with Anna Charles, episode 209. Welcome to the 90 Days Later podcast, where we talk about what really happens when you take a break from drinking. And it turns out to be the best thing you've ever done. I'm Anna, coach to high achievers who are done waking up with regret and ready to feel in control around alcohol. If you've ever wondered what your life could look like with less wine and more you, you're in the right place. Hi everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. I am so glad you are here, that you have found me in my little corner of the internet. Today we're talking about something that quietly shapes so many drinking habits and keeps so many people stuck for years without them even realizing why. It's something I see every week inside my coaching sessions, and once you learn to spot it in yourself, everything about drinking less is going to become lighter. We are talking about comfort entitlement. Now, comfort entitlement is a close cousin of discomfort avoidance. And if you remember from our recent episode, a couple of episodes ago, discomfort avoidance is when you know the thing you need to do, but you avoid it because it feels so uncomfortable. Well, comfort entitlement goes one layer deeper. It explains why that discomfort feels so unacceptable in the first place. This concept will change how you think about urges, habits, and follow through. So let's dig in. All right, so first let's start by giving a nice clear definition of comfort entitlement. And by the way, I see a lot of this at this time of year when the holidays are upon us. In fact, in my holiday freedom bundle that I recently released, it's a special that I do only at this time of year during Black Friday, I created a whole video on entitlement. I think it's such a big topic. So comfort entitlement is the belief that you should be able to take a particular action and have it feel comfortable while you do it. It is the idea that sticking to a drink plan should feel easy. Leaving a glass unfinished should feel natural. Taking an alcohol-free night should feel relaxed. Saying no to a top-up should feel smooth. And letting a craving rise and fall should feel peaceful and calm. Now, that's not to say that you don't sometimes feel this way when you do these things. Yes. This is totally possible. It is totally possible to feel calm and peaceful during a craving. In fact, that is what I teach. But the difference here is it can feel that way versus we feel entitled to feel that way. And what happens is when it does not feel comfortable, then comfort entitlement will step in and say something must be wrong. This shouldn't feel this way. I shouldn't have to go through this. I shouldn't have to feel these emotions. And you're going to stop and you're going to go back to what feels familiar. Now, comfort entitlement doesn't need to feel dramatic. It often shows up really quietly. It's almost politely, right? But it has a powerful effect. It's going to treat the presence of discomfort as a signal to abandon your intention, right? You're not resisting because you want the drink. You're resisting because you want the comfort that comes with the drink. Now, why comfort entitlement is a problem? I want to tackle that next. It's a problem because it actually contradicts the truth of human change and evolution. Anytime you grow, anytime you learn a skill, anytime you interrupt an automatic habit, anytime you try anything new, and again, I'm not just talking drinking here, I'm talking generally, any of these times you're going to feel uncomfortable. And it's not because you're failing, it's not because you lack willpower, right? It's not because you're not committed, but it's because you are human. Changing your drinking means interrupting a deeply wired, well-practiced habit loop. Of course, moments inside that loop will feel awkward or restless or edgy. That discomfort does not mean you're doing it incorrectly. It means you're actually doing it. I always say that if we feel a bit on edge because we're doing, this is not what we would normally do, it feels a bit strange, that means we're doing it right. Comfort entitlement misreads this. That's the way I like to think about it. It interprets basic human growth sensations as red flags. It says, I shouldn't have to feel this way. And the moment that idea enters the room that you shouldn't have to feel that way, drinking is going to feel like the fastest escape. Not because it is what you want, but because it is what feels familiar. Now, there are two major forces at play when we talk about comfort entitlement. Firstly, we have the lizard brain, like the lizard or primitive brain that has three core priorities: seek comfort, avoid discomfort, and do both of these two things as efficiently as possible by conserving energy. Now, your lizard brain doesn't care about your goals, doesn't care about your long-term intentions. It cares that you feel steady and soothed in the next 10 seconds. Anything that requires presence or effort or uncertainty or thought is going to feel inefficient to this part of the brain. So wine delivers instant ease, right? It does this, and so then your lizard brain is going to see that as the perfect ideal solution. Not because it is good for you, but because it is fast. So that's the first major force at play when it comes to comfort entitlement. And the second is the belief that comfort is the default. Many of us go around we sort of carry this invisible rule. Like, if I'm doing it right, it should feel easy. If I were stronger, this wouldn't feel so uncomfortable, right? If this feels awkward, it means I'm not ready to do this yet. If this takes effort, then something is wrong. I'm not ready for doing this. This should be a lot easier. So of course, when discomfort appears, you're going to treat this as a sign of failure instead of as a sign of growth. This belief makes perfect sense if you have built your life on competence and capability, but it doesn't serve you when you are changing an emotional habit. So let's look at where comfort entitlement shows up in your day, sort of in the real world. We might have, for instance, the 5 p.m. wobble. This is maybe when you plan to have a glass or none, but by 5 p.m. you might feel tense or tired or overstretched. Comfort entitlement says this shouldn't feel hard, and you reach for relief. Let's talk about this scenario when we're talking about the second glass. Maybe you told yourself that one was going to be enough. You feel a small drop of disappointment at the idea that you're at the end of the first glass, or maybe you feel some social pressure from others who may be egging you on, even gently. Now, comfort entitlement is going to say, I shouldn't have to feel this, and you say yes to the top up. When it comes to the alcohol-free evening, maybe you plan not to drink tonight, but then at 6 o'clock the house feels flat or boring or quiet, and comfort entitlement says this should feel peaceful, and then you just go ahead and drink because you're thinking something has gone wrong. When you have a craving, when you try to sit with an urge, maybe it feels buzzy or tight or restless, and comfort entitlement will say this sensation is unacceptable, and you pour a drink to make it go away. And let's also now take social discomfort. This is a very normal one where we feel entitled to comfort. You maybe want to drink less at a gathering, but in doing this you feel exposed or different. You think you're going to stand out. And comfort entitlement is going to tell you you shouldn't have to feel like this, so you drink to blend in. In every one of these examples, and I'm sure you can find many more in your lives, the discomfort is not the real problem. I want you to see this. The discomfort is not the real problem. The entitlement to the comfort is. Now, this is the turning point, and I want you to consider that there is discomfort whether you drink or you don't drink. If you don't drink, you might feel awkward or restless or a bit bored. If you do drink, you might feel regretful or frustrated or just out of alignment with your values. But one of these discomforts leads to freedom, and one keeps you stuck in the cycle. If discomfort is guaranteed on both paths? Why not choose the discomfort that leads you to the life you want? This is the question I want you all to sit with. So now, I like to be practical and give you some homework. Let's make this practical, right? Let's tackle this concept of comfort entitlement. Firstly, I want you to expect the discomfort. Don't wait for comfort, right? Don't ask for comfort. Don't treat comfort as the sign you're doing it right. Discomfort is part of the process. Expect it. When it comes, I want you to name it. Be as specific as you can. Ask, am I tired? Am I lonely? Am I restless? Am I overstimulated? Am I bored? Am I disappointed? When you name it, you see what you're dealing with. You reduce the drama. It is the fear of the unknown, thinking there is something fundamentally wrong with us that can cause us to spin out. Third, I want you to remind yourself that it's safe. Whatever you're feeling is safe. Most urges peak and fall within about 90 seconds. When you stop fighting them, it really is quick. And your body can feel these sensations and your brain can handle these moments. None of it is dangerous. I want you to remind yourself, I am safe, right? This is not dangerous. And then you move forward alongside the discomfort, not after it, not once it disappears, but with it, right? This is where confidence forms, when we take action in spite of and with the discomfort. This is where your habit rewires. This is where the person you want to become starts to take shape. So I want you to ask yourself sincerely, who would I get to be if I was not entitled to comfort? What would I be able to create? What choices become possible? Now, don't answer these questions quickly. Let them open something inside of you. Because as I said earlier, comfort entitlement, right, is not only about drinking. Comfort entitlement shapes how you pursue goals, how you maintain boundaries, how you show up in relationships, how you trust yourself. Dropping the entitlement to comfort is going to make your entire life bigger. And if you're nodding along, if you want help changing your drinking, I want you to book a discovery call with me. Do it now, especially as the holidays are coming. And this is the moment most people tell themselves to wait. It's too chaotic. They think January will magically feel easier, but it never does. Real life, right here, right now, is the perfect time to create real change. On that call, we're going to talk about where you want, what's been getting in the way, and I'm going to build you the exact path to where you want to get to. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment. You don't have to feel comfortable all the time. But if we take the action now, you will get the result you're looking for. So go to 90dayslater.co and click on book a call at the top of the page. Otherwise, you can click on the link in the show notes for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next week. If this episode hit home and you're ready to explore what life could look like with alcohol in the back seat, let's talk. I work with people one-on-one who are ready to create the relationship with alcohol that works for them, so they feel powerful in their choices and at peace with their habits. Go to 90dayslater.co and click on book a call, or grab one of the free guides in the show notes to this episode. And if this podcast is helping you, a rating or review goes a long way to help others find this work too.